All right. Well, here we go. Quiet on the set. Quiet on the set.
3,
Action.
2, 1.
Oh,
Go.
action.
Beep.
Beep. Are we ready, Iggy?
Welcome to Wholehearted Living with Valerie
And Bennie. I just look. It's my name.
You had to look at your name.
I had to look to see my name. I did.
See, I said Wholehearted
Wholehearted
Living,
and
so
then I
you
just
wouldn't.
automatically went over there. Yeah, I am Bennie.
Oh, my
Are you going to
goodness.
tell them what kind of podcast we are?
We are a podcast where one of us brings a topic, the other one has no idea about it, and then we discuss it.
Yep, and we're
then-
siblings.
And we are siblings. You are my brother.
Yeah, you're my sister, ironically. Iggy, how are you?
I'm good.
Iggy keeps
Oh.
us all together.
I'm the sound guy.
Yes, you
He's
are.
the sound guy. And Iggy, we asked you to keep it to 2 words. This is like you're
I
taking
know.
over
What
the podcast.
the heck? How many
okay?
words is he going to say?
Take the mic away from him. I'm kidding.
I didn't know he was left-handed. When did I know that? Like right now.
You apparently didn't.
We're today years old.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I was today years old.
Oh, she loves that. That's awesome. I'm so proud of you, Iggy.
I am. I am fascinated by left-handed people. Marley is left-handed.
Oh,
My granddaughter.
wow.
Yeah. It's so
Cool.
cute.
Trinity was left-handed until my wife forced her to be right-handed.
Oh. Well, I am an ambidextrous. Do you know that about me? I don't know if you know this about me, but I...
Hey, why don't you go
What
ahead and answer
happened?
your own question? Do you know this about me? Maybe you don't know this about me.
So...
And you
I
don't-
have always been right-handed with stuff, except I kick with my left hand. We were just talking
You
about...
kick with your left hand?
I kick with my left foot. We were just talking about how I used to play left wing. I kick with my left foot. I miniature golf left-handed. I do a lot of stuff left-handed. And then when I cut my hand, my tendon and my
That's called a wrist.
a wrist is a tendon and the what's the other thing? That you
Ligament.
think? Well, no, the tendon and the no.
No one cares.
It doesn't
Move
matter.
on. You cut something in your wrist.
I cut, yes. And I severed one of them, and they said, oh, you may not get feeling back with it. So I started practicing with my left hand. And, well, I had to because it was in a cast for a while. But, and I could write fine. Like, it was weird. And so I can do both.
So do you think mom forced you to be right-handed?
I don't know, but Dustin is just like me. So I didn't ever, I just, whatever he picked up, and that's how he did it. But he writes right-handed, but he does everything else left-handed.
So what does left-handed mean? Like, I know I golf right-handed.
I golf left-handed.
I golf right-handed, but I play pool. I do pool like this. So is this left-handed?
Mhm.
So I do pool left-handed. I can't do it right-handed.
Oh, that's interesting,
I
too.
see. Even I don't even know how to put my finger right now. For those on
I know.
YouTube, are
That's
laughing
interesting
at me.
because I actually do it right-handed, but everything else like miniature golf and stuff like that.
Yeah,
left-handed.
no. So I play pool left-handed. I kick with my left foot. I write with my right foot. Definitely. I write with my right foot. I write with my right foot. Yeah, I'm ambifootstrick. I made that up.
Did you? I thought it was in the
I don't even
dictionary.
know what that is. Okay, but anyway, I write with my right hand. I can't write with my left. I mean, I can, but it looks ridiculous and it's really uncomfortable. But I can. Yeah, so that's interesting.
Well, because back in the day when I did my right hand, when I cut the wrist, I would have to write checks, and we would write them at the grocery store. Like that's back in the day of check days.
Yeah.
And I remember writing it out, and I forgot who was with me because they were helping me with the kids, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, that is so legible for your left hand." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I just wrote it out." So I clearly can do things left-handed. And Peter used to make fun of me all the time because I would eat left-handed, I would cut left-handed, and he's just like, "Who are you?" You know?
I
So
cut
it's just-
left-handed too. I cut left-handed. You know what always bothered me growing up? I don't know if this bothered you. I really don't. This is very important. What
This
I'm
is
about
a
to
huge
say.
conversation about noticing Iggy's left-handed. That's so cute.
Yeah, but you know what's so funny is that I remember growing up, and we, of course, Dad had to have peas. Remember the way, and he would put the peas, and he'd go, look at the peas, and he would do that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it would drive me crazy because I hated peas.
Yes.
And then they also said, both of them would say, both mom and dad would say, do not touch the food with your hands. I
you
do
would wanna
not
scoop
still
it up.
understand how you get the peas on the spoon without using your hand. I can't figure that out to this day. What do you, I mean, like you go really fast, or how do you get those last few?
See, I'm confused because I thought you were going to say on the fork, which would make sense. You can kind of shovel it with your hand, but a spoon, you just scoop it.
No, you can't. Kids, everybody here is on medication. You cannot, you cannot scoop it. I want to hear right in the comments. If you can scoop it.
You can scoop it with a spoon.
If you just sit there and it just keeps pushing it, it just pushes it and pushes it.
What I used to do when they weren't looking is I would take the fork and put a pea on every spine or spine. What are they called?
I think it is
tine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would put it on each one, and they didn't notice, and there was 4. And then
what I did was I would use my finger when they weren't looking, fill it up on the spoon, put it in my mouth, eat it, and then I'd wipe my mouth. And when I wipe my mouth, I'd spit it all in the napkin, and then I'd throw it behind the stove. And so I throw it behind the stove, and when they got rid of the stove, there was like 6 pounds of peas back there.
And eggs.
Eggs?
Because I did not like egg whites. I only liked the yolk, and I would take the egg whites and throw it behind the stove.
Golly, the stove must have had an entire grocery back there. Because I'm not kidding you.
Did you really do that?
Yes.
So did I.
I don't know how much food had to be back there.
Oh, my God.
So how did you do it if I was doing it and we didn't notice it?
Well, because eggs was for breakfast, so I must have sat in that spot, and peas were for dinner, so you sat in that spot.
I must have been in that spot.
And we would just slightly go behind her back and go boop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. So I did. And I'm still going to tell you, I'm looking at every one of you people, you cannot scoop peas with a spoon.
Yes, you can.
Not the last 2.
Yes,
not
you
the
can.
last 2. Nope.
Yes, you can.
The last 2, 3, I'm telling you, if you try and do it, it just pushes them along. And so it doesn't work. And so I went to Europe the first time I went to Europe. And this is what tripped me out. I got there and I saw these people and they were eating and they used their knife to prevent the peas from flying. And I went, Nirvana. And so I learned it. And so then from then on, and for years and years and years, I asked Patty, for years and years and years, I always ate
Nerve. Tendon and the nerve.
And the nerve. So we're returning to a story from an hour and a half ago. But anyway, so I used the knife and that's how, and then I went, oh my goodness. And so from that day on, I started using a fork and a knife for every time I ate. And Patty, and so literally I was the only one at the table with a fork and a knife. Everybody just had a fork because I would always scoop. That's how I scooped.
You know what I learned from my friend Christine is that you take a big, huge spoon. And I never understood this when you went out and bought pasta or something like spaghetti, and they would give you a big spoon. You're like, well, how are you supposed to eat spaghetti with a big spoon? But you take the fork, you use the big spoon for the fork to take the spaghetti against the big spoon.
Right.
Oh, do the fancy thing.
I kind of knew that.
Oh, I never knew that.
You don't know how to eat peas.
I didn't.
I know how to eat peas. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. You cannot scoop the last ones. Are you guys really saying that? Same thing with rice. You can't get the last rice.
Yes, you can. You smush it with the fork.
Okay, but that's not scooping. You can't scoop. You can't do that with peas.
I eat rice with chopsticks.
Oh.
Oh,
See?
jeez. I can't even talk about that because really rice and chopsticks. Our rice, the rice that we typically make, especially us like Mexican rice, it's not sticky enough to work with chopsticks. You got to make real Asian rice, which is much stickier, so that you can grab it with chopsticks. Am I right? You're Asian. Iggy. Iggy, am I right? Isn't it true that it's stickier?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
There
definitely
it is.
stickier.
See? Well, that's why you can do it, and that's probably.
But if you're at a Mexican restaurant eating Mexican rice, you're not eating those with chopsticks anyway.
Well, that's right. But you are eating with a spoon, and you can't get the last ones. You have to have something else. That's when a tortilla comes in handy. Do you eat with tortillas? Oh,
I do grain-free tortillas.
okay. I didn't ask you what kind.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, I'm
They're
just
my
kidding.
spoon. They're my scooper.
Oh, yes. But that's what's so funny is because for me, my life without a tortilla, I really can't
Oh, I
imagine
don't do them all
life
the time, though, because it's not a good food to have all the time. That's a sometimes food.
Oh yeah. Well, if I cared about that, I wouldn't have chorizo every day. so, so the thing is that but I have to have tortillas. I love having tortillas all
Oh,
the
it's
time.
my
And I go to some people's homes and I'll say, "Do you have a tortilla?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Seriously? That's like not having butter. I don't understand. You don't have butter, do you?"
Oh, I love butter.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you do butter, real butter, real butter, real butter.
Oh,
Not margarine.
oh yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. All I know is that I was I was in the Midwest. Patty's aunt asked me if I wanted a tortilla. I couldn't believe it. Yes, she did.
Did you ever watch?
She goes, "Benny, do you want a tortilla?"
Did you ever
And
watch
I was like,
American
"Seriously?
Idol?
Is this a joke?"
Did you watch American Idol when Kelly Pickler used to say salmon?
Nope.
Salmon.
Okay.
It was. It's not. It's salmon.
Salmon.
Yeah, the fish.
Yeah.
She said salmon.
Salmon.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. Although it is she's probably. I wonder if there is a correct pronunciation and if that's it because it doesn't it have an L? No, it doesn't.
It has
Yeah, it
an
does. It has an
L.
L. Salmon.
Well, what do you call it? Do you?
I
ever-
say salmon.
Yeah, it's salmon.
I know, but that's what we say. But I wonder if there is a correct. You know what? If you go
Let
to
me
the
Google
if you go
that.
to England, because they say aluminium too for like aluminum, aluminium.
Oh
And
my
Canadians do
goodness.
the same
That's
thing.
so
Aluminium.
cute.
They do.
That's cute.
I never forget having a conversation on a ship with a bunch of different people. This is when I lived on a ship for a few months, and we were talking about the different things that people say. And so there's some bad words, that we say. And one of the I didn't know that this was a bad word. And but there was this girl from the South and she was working in the kitchen and there were these two Australian people there. And one of the Australian people was really funny. He was so fun. And then his wife though was like really super
And
conservative.
we have such a great accent.
Yeah, really good accent. But one of the guys, Steven was his name, was so funny. I can't remember what her name was, but she was super nice, but just very like conservative, right?
Mhm.
And it's funny how they were together because he was just like all over the place and whatever. What was so funny is the girl from the South came out of the kitchen and she was part of our little group and she was working really hard. And so Steven asked her, he goes, and her name was Nina. Nina, how are you doing? She goes, "I've been working my fanny off." And fanny is a girl part in Australia.
Oh, it is.
Yes, it's not the fanny, it's the other side. So she goes,
Oh.
"I've been working my fanny off," and Steven just started laughing, and the girl
Oh.
got all red and put her face down.
Oh,
she
God,
couldn't
how
believe it. And then
This
we were
is
like,
such a slang thing.
"Yeah,"
here.
we were like, "What's the matter?" We were like, "I don't understand what's the matter." And she goes, and then Steven told us what it was, and I go, "What do you call a fanny pack then?" I was like, what do you guys do? And they go, "We call it a bum pack." They call it a bum pack, which is interesting because it's on the fanny.
Right, right.
So
The fanny in quotes.
yeah, exactly. But anyway,
That's funny.
yeah, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
And then later we were talking about all these different things that we agree on. And so somebody goes, it might have been me, said, "Well, what about boob tube?" So what's a boob tube?
a TV.
A TV, right? And
Right.
everybody goes, and so I said, we could all agree on what a boob tube is, right? And there's like all these people and everybody goes, "TV." And the Australian and the English people are like, start laughing like crazy. Boob tube is like a halter top for them. It's
Oh,
literally
a
a
tube
boob
top.
tube. Yeah, tube
Uh-huh.
top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So anyway, that's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
See, these are the kind of things that you get from Wholehearted Living. I didn't even look at the
yeah.
title. All right, Valerie Lynn, are you ready for our subject matter today?
I am.
I want to ask you a
Of course
question.
you do.
So this is just I'm going to ask you a very general question. So you can end up going anywhere. I hope you go exactly where I want you to, though. Because if you don't, then the podcast is ruined. I'm just kidding. No, it won't.
Drum roll.
What kind of people in general inspire you?
People are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully.
All right. Well, that's a great answer there. So
It just, as soon as you said people, what kind of people inspire me?
yeah. You have to say out loud though, because otherwise they won't know.
I mean, I'm inspired by a lot of types of different people.
Yeah, that's
but
okay.
people that inspire me the most are the people that live very like a quality type of life, happy life.
Wholehearted.
People that wholehearted life. That people that have people inspire me in the gym to keep moving along with progress in that way. People inspire me at work.
So part of what you see is like, so maybe what you see in the people at work that inspire you is the discipline to keep going, or what do you think it is about those people? Because it's not the fact that they're, well, I'm assuming you're not just looking at their aesthetic and you're saying, wow, I want that.
Well, no, for like at work, like I work in a school, so I'm talking like teachers in general and stuff. I feel like it's very, I don't ever want to further my education and be a teacher, but I look at teachers and I think, wow, like I can walk away from my job at 3:15 and I'm completely done. And these people who decide to teach are working after hours, off the clock, come in early to get stuff done. And so they're very inspiring to me because it's like, it's not just your regular, when you clock in and clock out, they take it above.
The
and
work
beyond.
ethic is something
Work
that's super
ethic,
important to you.
yeah.
Okay. What kind of people, on the contrary, and I'm hoping that you're not going to just simply say people that don't do that, but I mean, what kind of people don't inspire? What are the kind of people that kind of drive you nuts, maybe, or whatever?
I mean, if I'm being honest, it's the people that will like ask me questions in terms of like, how are you so disciplined to do X, Y, Z? Oh, I can never do that. And those are the people that I'm just like, but you can, you're just not.
Yeah.
You're not trying, basically.
I read this thing, and so this is kind of where we're going, because what
Wait, did I answer it right? You said I hope you give you the right answer.
No, there is no right answer.
Oh.
I was totally giving you, because you told me that you hate it that I was
Oh,
asking
okay.
questions, and there wasn't a right
Okay.
answer at all. Iggy, do you have a person that, Iggy, I don't know what happened to my voice.
Hello.
Do you have a type of person that inspires you? Okay.
I would say, to me, it's more of the people that you can tell that whatever it is they're doing, their heart and their soul is into it.
Ah, that's
'Cause
really.
then when I see them do that, it makes me want to do more of whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. Why didn't you give that answer, Valerie?
I kind of.
I'm totally kidding. No, but I love that answer because it has.
So it's like their wholehearted living.
It is a
wholeheartedly
large way
living,
because they're
yeah.
really going for it. They're really going for whatever it is. So the reason why I brought this up is I thought of two things. One is finding inspiring people in your life. So one of the things I mentioned in our last podcast, the idea that you don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea being that you should be surrounded by people who are influencing you in a way that's going to...
Dad used to always tell us that. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, you don't?
He actually said like that, or did he say it a different way? Because I can hear him saying things like that. For
Dad
sure, it
used
sounds
to
like
always tell me in like school-aged, hang out with people that are smarter.
Oh, yeah,
smarter
he
than you.
definitely
Yeah,
said that.
yeah.
Hang out with people that are smarter than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. He definitely said things like that.
Mhm.
I guess the reason why I didn't relate it to what you were saying to what I'm saying here is when sometimes, as adults, we, especially if you're in a leadership position at your work, or if you're in a place where you have influence over other people, the idea for a lot of people is I want to be the person who influences all these people. And this one great leader, it's the guy who wrote, one of the guys who wrote Good to Great. I can't remember his name right now, but he was talking about the fact that you do not want to be the person who, you don't want to be the brainchild of everything, because you want to surround yourself and hire people who
Right.
are smarter than you in certain areas constantly, so that you're continually grow.
Yeah.
For most leaders, though, it's not most, I shouldn't say that. For a lot of leaders, that's super threatening. And I would just say for a lot of people, it's threatening. And when you're around people that are smarter than you, because it makes you feel like they're inadequate.
Inadequate. I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah. And so you start to get, you might fear that this person's going to take over my job, or this person's going to end up being, looked at better than I'm being looked
Right.
at. Does that make sense?
100%. It's really funny. This is probably kind of like on a different level, but kind of the same thing that you're saying. And I'm going to bring up Coco's Paleo Kitchen. When I had that Instagram with all that following, it was very interesting because there were many people that followed me for whatever it is that I was giving them. And it happened organically. And I was kind of like thrown back to like, wow, these people are listening to me. This is crazy. But like, to your point, if I followed people that inspired me in that same arena.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I felt like if I shared what they just said and put it like maybe on my Instagram and shared what they said, like, oh, listen to this, follow this person, it might
lose your followers and they might follow them.
Yeah, I might end up lessening what I know and shooting them in another direction, if you will.
Right.
And it would always like made me swallow my pride and just go, no, I want people to learn. Like I want to share this. You know what I mean? I should want to share this. So.
No, it's really smart.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with trying to, like, even this whole topic, everything I'm about to say is, a compilation of a lot of things that I've read. Sadly, I'm not very good at remembering everything unless I'm writing a paper about what I'm supposed to be doing. Who did it. But what I can tell you is that it's like there is a Bible verse that says there's nothing new under the sun. So the truth is that it's really just a revelation that comes from a bunch of different people at different times that finally hits you at the right time where it makes sense to you. But the goal for me in this particular Wholehearted Living podcast was the idea that we all need people that inspire us, that encourage us, that grow us, to be around us. And that's a very intentional thing. It can't simply be, I hope they come around me. It has to be something that's that
seek out.
Yes, that we actually have to seek out. And it really depends on what you're looking for too. And what I mean by that is, because some people are looking for, they want to be healthier. Well, if you want to be healthier, then get around people that are healthier, don't be afraid of that.
Right.
I'm always a little bit irritated if I see somebody at a gym who isn't in great shape, and then somebody might make fun of them. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're doing. This is exactly where they need to be. Exactly. This is exactly what they should be doing. Yeah. And the fact that they don't do it exactly, or somebody who's running on the Strand and they're not because a lot of the people that run on the Strand are they could be models, and both men and women.
Sure.
And then you have the people that are not in great shape, and it's easy to want to make fun of them and like, gosh, why are they doing that? No,
but it's like, for me, you see them go by, I'm like, well, good for them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
and the thing is they're probably putting themselves out there because they're like, you just, to the point of this podcast, is they're like, I want to be around people that have health in mind, so I'm going to go, instead of being in my neighborhood or on the treadmill where nobody can see me, I'm going to go to the beach where everybody else has the same.
And so whether that has to do with health, like something like that, but if you're in a job right now where you're feeling stuck, find a group that is where you're going to learn and grow, get involved with those people beyond just like, okay, I'm going to take a class.
Yeah.
But like, I want to surround myself with people who can inspire me, who can make me better, who can grow me in whatever area that I'm looking for. And so, we were just before the podcast started talking about spirituality. Right. If you were trying to find spirituality and whatever that spirituality is, hang around people that are spiritual. Right. And then what comes of it is going to come of it. But that's how you do it.
Right.
If you don't go, it's not going to happen by osmosis. Right. That's the big thing. I love one thing that I read. It had to do with, this is probably not a trick question, but this guy did this graph. He wrote this graph, and the graph is, I want you to picture this, okay? So trust is on the bottom. This is the bottom part of the graph, trust. And then this right here is performance, okay? A lot of people look for the high-performing person, right? And what this guy said is, what's fascinating is the high-performing person who is low on trust is toxic to a work environment. Even though they get a lot of stuff done, they are toxic to the work environment. Nobody wants a low performing and low trust person that's out. what's fascinating is when he did research on the highest companies, the best companies, the ones that are really growing, and the people, I should say, that are the biggest influencers, they were not the high performing. Most of those people would choose a medium performing, high trust person over the high performing person and low trust person.
Right.
And I just thought it's fascinating to me because a lot of people focus on, certain kind of performance indicators instead of focusing on yourself and
Sure.
what's going to make you better and
Yeah.
what's going to make you grow and what's going to make you the person that and by the way, where they got this from was the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs say the leaders, the strongest leaders in the Navy SEALs are not the highest performers. They're the highest trust people. And obviously they have to be able to perform at some level.
Sure.
They're not low performers, but they
Right.
have to be able to do that. But the thing is that when everybody starts surrounding themselves around that person, it raises the level of
Yeah.
everything. And the low trust person does nothing for you. And so I just thought it was interesting for me because when I see that is very inspiring to me because I know that I'm not the highest performer in everything. I'm just not. But I do, for me, I want to be somebody who is a high trust person. I want to be somebody who is helping people constantly in that position of how can I better somebody else's life? That's really my ultimate goal.
Right.
How can I better somebody else's life? How can I make them be all that they're intended to be,
Right.
but they're stuck? Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So you mentioned last podcast, and I thought it was interesting because I almost brought this up, and I thought if I bring this up, and I won't be able to. I won't be able
Bring
to
it
talk
up
it-
in now,
yeah,
yeah.
right now. So I want everybody to do something. You guys are all here, and you're going to pay attention now, okay? Even all of you listeners right now, because what I want you guys to do.
Oh.
This is the thing. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I want you guys to look around your surroundings. So those of you here in this room, Patty, look at everything and identify everything that is brown. Go ahead. No, everything. You can't just look at me and find everything that's brown. So
Okay. Got it.
identify everything that you see that's brown.
Okay.
Okay? And then you at home do the same thing. Okay, now, Valerie Lynn,
Yes.
tell me what's red.
Peter's shirt.
Okay.
What else?
But my point is, I bet you found a lot of brown, right?
Oh, I found a lot of brown.
You find a lot of brown.
I saw your hats over there that
yeah,
are red.
but now if I say, look at now I say, find everything that's red.
The
You're
red
going to see,
hat.
but no, go look around for everything that's red. Do you see a lot more red?
Yeah.
You can find red. What's interesting is when I said, for a lot of you guys that are listening, when you say what's brown, I say identify everything that's brown. You go, I can make that brown. In your own head, you kind of think, I can make that brown, I can make that brown, I can make that brown. And then when I say look at red, now here's my point. A lot of people, I think when I was going to bring this up last time, when we're trying to get inspired, the reason why they can't get inspired is because they're looking for a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because they keep looking for that certain thing, they find that certain thing. And it's very hard for them to flip the switch and find the other thing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Of course.
It's really, really, really difficult to find that other thing. And like I said, they even manipulate what isn't necessarily brown to make it brown because I want to please you. So even things that are not as bad as are perceived, they make them bad. And what I think is interesting is that if we try to flip it and say, I want to be an inspiring person, I want to find inspiring people, if we look for them and we truly seek them out, it's like something happens where we can actually find those people and find that kind of a life, find the life that we want. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense.
Okay, well, I'm glad.
No, I totally understand what you're saying because you're right. If you're looking for one thing and not like seeing the full picture, or like you said, if you're taking it back to the podcast before where we talked about, why me, and then, well, why not me? It's like you have to be able to
Flip the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so my point of this particular one was different in that I want to find I want to be an inspirational person,
But
And
you
in
need
order
to
to
also
do that,
be inspired.
to
Yeah.
do that, I got to be surrounding
Well, you know,
myself with that.
it's very interesting because it's funny that you said that because I brought up the Coco's Paleo Kitchen thing, but I also at this point in my life right now, I'm doing it. This is like off topic of that, but it does pertain to it. I promise. I'm doing what's called like a progressive overload training, which is more, I'm kind of giving up more cardio. Kind of giving up the cardio and the HIIT style programming to go more with weightlifting. And I'm trying to up my weights every week kind of thing. That said, in order for me to do that, I needed to start looking at other people who are doing that. Yes.
Instead of that. Yeah.
Yes. And so I started following certain accounts that were going to be inspiring and drawing me to want to do it more and better myself or whatever. And so while I'm doing that, I'm also sharing what I'm doing in hopes to inspire others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And you know, sometimes we end up, putting several podcasts together. But the real thing for me is that I think the whole concept and what happens is if we surround ourselves, if we surround ourselves with the same people and we're expecting to become a different person, it just doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
We need to surround ourselves with people that, whether that be literal people, like which would be great if you can find groups that you can actually connect with, but not just that, but finding books, finding other things that are going to influence you and making that be the things that feed you.
This is so interesting because we did talk about this right before the podcast, and we were talking about Peter, how, for those of you that don't know, we decided to go to church last Sunday. We've never gone to church together. And we did. And it's very interesting because Peter has a lot of questions, and he is surrounding himself with people that are like in the quote unquote in the church or spiritual or whatever. And so there's no way he could necessarily further himself in that arena if he didn't seek out other people that were already there, kind of thing. And so
yeah.
So it is. It's definitely it's funny because you want to inspire people, but it's never too late to always want to be inspired. Like you don't I think you and I have talked about this before. Like life is a lesson, and we don't ever want to stop learning.
No.
Like we just you can't not want to, or you shouldn't want to stop. If you're not changing, then that's, I always laugh when people go, "Oh my gosh, you've changed." I'm like, well, thank God. Like I don't ever want to be the same person I was 20 years ago,
Right.
So.
No, I think it's so important that, I love the phrase lifelong learner. And honestly, the best leaders, everybody that I ever read, leaders, presidents, CEOs, all those people that are, they're constantly learning. The amount of books that they read, what they do in order to try and to be influenced, and then ultimately that influences other people. So my big thing for the podcast today was simply be inspirational, and to do that, surround yourself around the people that inspire you.
Yeah, very good.
And listen to a podcast like
Wholehearted Living. And did you see that you had to look back at
it? I don't know. I really struggle with I really struggle with rote memory. So, what's your name again? Okay. Anyway.
Well, thank you, Benny. That was good. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah.
It's free.
It's free.
Thank you guys for listening to the podcast with Valerie and
Benny.
We are at wholehearted living wholehearted living podcast. Yeah. So please like us, follow us, and do the same on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, we would appreciate it.
We would love it. So thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.
Ciao.